Hi there, everyone. Welcome to this short presentation about the Visualising Peace Library. My name is Aimée, and today I'm going to be talking you through some of my contributions to the library, as well as, why I've put things in there, what they are, and some avenues of research which I think could really benefit from exploration in the future. So the Visualising Peace Library is affiliated with the Visualising Peace Project at the University of St Andrews, and it's an interdisciplinary resource which collates literature from lots of different backgrounds and views it through the lens of peace studies. So today I'm going to talk to you about the Northern Irish conflict. And there's plenty of research in our library about that, but very little relating to the role of the Republic of Ireland within this conflict. And that's a trend that is reflected in literature surrounding Northern Ireland in general. So yeah, let's get into it. I'll just briefly mention the thesis of today's presentation, which is there is a need for more research to be conducted in order for us to fully understand the role of the Republic of Ireland in the Northern Irish conflict. So I'm going to start off today with my first entry to the library, which is Dieter Reinish's 2022 paper, Teenagers and Young Adults in Dissident Irish Republicanism, a case study of Na Fianna Éireann in Dublin. And this paper is really interesting because Reinisch uses it to identify risk factors and also motivating factors which might make particularly young men in the Republic join dissident Republican organizations. So he builds on the research of Horgan and Gill, who say that a highly significant amount of recruitment to the dissident movement occurs in the southern 26 counties. And although his sample population is quite small, his research is really striking because it's identifying the existence of a radical subculture in the Republic, particularly in the Dublin area. So while this radicalism right now is manifesting itself through commemorative events like marches and ballad sessions, the presence of these structures is quite concerning because, as Reinisch puts it, today's dissident Republican youth organizations may serve as an ideological bridge for a future wave of small-scale group political violence in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, as did the youth organisations in the 1960s. So this research is quite important because I think it's really demonstrating the role that the Republic of Ireland has in maintaining peace in Northern Ireland, which might be to clamp down on the risk factors which cause young people to join dissident Republican groups. Okay, my next contribution is Ian Somerville, David Mitchell, and Owen Hargey's publication, Sports Promotion and the Construction of Irish Identity, Nationalism, Social Exclusion, and the Gaelic Athletic Association. So the Gaelic Athletic Association, or GAA, is Ireland's largest sporting body. It promotes the Gaelic Games in Ireland and also in Northern Ireland. It's a whole island enterprise. And it was founded in 1894 during the Irish Cultural Revival. And because of that, it is quite an important element of Irish national identity and a cornerstone of Irishness. So something that's quite interesting about the GAA is its self-defined mission, which as of 2016 was to strengthen our national identity in a 32-county Ireland. And you can see the updated manifesto on the screen right now. Please feel free to pause and have a look at that. That is the 2022 official guide manifesto. So in this survey, Somerville, Mitchell and Hargey found that 60% of the Protestants they asked in Northern Ireland did not feel that the GAA was taking steps to become more inclusive, and even those who would watch the GAA on television would not feel comfortable attending matches in person. So this is quite an interesting result because, we've got a kind of dichotomy between the GAA being a very important cornerstone of Irish identity and Irish identity building. However, it is also the rhetoric that it's promoting is also causing divisions to be deepened in already divided communities in Northern Ireland. So my next contribution then is Margaret O'Callaghan's paper, Language, Nationality and Cultural Identity in the Irish Free State, 1922 to 1927. And this paper is really interesting because it's looking at the Irish language, much like the Gaelic Athletic Association, as a tool which was used to build Irish national identity after Ireland achieved liberation from Britain. And the main idea of this paper is that Ireland needed to create an identity which was culturally separate from that of the cultural oppressor, I guess, which was Britain. So O'Callaghan sums this up really nicely, saying the concept of a distinctive culture unique to Ireland was vital, or unique to the island was vital. The language was viewed as an essential wellspring of that culture. So Irish in this way achieved this kind of emblematic status of quintessential Irishness again, much like the GAA, and this is something that is used in the Republic even to this day, to relate to this sense of Irishness and Irish nationality, but it's also used in Northern Ireland in much the same way. And we see this particularly in the Belfast-based rap group's work. Kneecap, it's a Belfast rap trio who sing in a mixture of English and Irish. They're quite a controversial group, and they use this Irish language to criticise what are traditionally or historically unionist-aligned structures like the DUP and also the PSNI. So a really interesting paper about that can be seen as a third bullet point on this screen. I haven't added it to the library, but I think you should really have a look at its fascinating work by Liam O'Hear and Louis Strange. So in this way, we can again see that, a facet of really important Irish identity building has become highly politicised and is used to deepen divides between sectarian identities in Northern Ireland. Moving on then to music, which is still very important in Irish culture, we've got a very interesting book by Richard Parfitt, Musical Culture and the Spirit of Irish Nationalism, and I'm particularly interested in the fourth chapter of this book, which is called Great Men and Straight Men, in which Parfitt discusses the role of music in revolutionary Ireland in, creating shared political identities and also marking political allegiances, and he uses the example of the soldier song to discuss this. So the Soldier Song was published, people think it was first published in 1912, but they believe it was written maybe 1907 by Padraig Carney and Paddy Heaney. And this song has a really long history of association with nationalism and also republicanism. So it was first used as a marching song by Na Fianna Éireann, then it was sung during the 1916 Easter Rising, which is quite an important emblematic conflict in the liberation movement. And it was then sung in prison camps following this. Unfortunately, it was also adapted or adopted, I guess is a better word, by Sinn Féin and the IRA. And because of this, it has some quite violent connotations, particularly in Northern Ireland, where it continues to be sung, particularly by nationalist or Republican groups in order to, again, identify themselves with the sense of Irishness. So its emblematic status in the Easter Rising conflict and Irish liberation fight caused it to be adapted and taken on as the national anthem of the new Free State of Ireland in 1926. And the Irish translation Out on the Bhíon continues to be sung as the Irish national anthem today. And this brings up questions about the Republic of Ireland's neutrality. Is the use of Out on the Bhíon an homage to the liberation movement, to Irish freedom, or is it perhaps a manifestation of modern Republican sympathies? So my final contribution then is a newspaper article for the Irish Times, which was published in 2021 by John Gary, Paul Gillespie and Brendan O'Leary, in which they asked 50 citizens of the Republic who they believe to be representative of the population their thoughts on if, when and how unification of North and South should take place. And they found that people believed almost unanimously that unification should take place. Before and after they presented them with educational videos and had them engage in group discussions. However, the logistics such as time frame and what exactly this might look like were more flexible. So this gives rise to something which I'm going to call for the time being soft nationalism, because it's clear that there are elements of nationalism and possibly in some cases even republicanism in play, in the fact that the desire for united Ireland was very strong. But it's also clear that attitudes were much more flexible than perhaps other structures like the GAA, with its hardline desire for 32 county Ireland. So I think that this again is quite interesting because it's maybe showing a little bit of the interactions between ordinary people in the Republic and the effects that these hardline, more radical structures around them might be having on their thoughts and on their behaviours. So that brings me on to my research questions. So these are really just things that I think would be useful in order to get a better sense of how kind of national and Republican aligned structures in the Republic might be influencing dissident activity, and if this effect can be felt in Northern Ireland, and also to what degree is the Republic responsible for this. So they are as follows. To what extent are citizens of the Republic aware of or influenced by nationalist and Republican aligned structures in their everyday lives? Do they agree with these values? What is the socializing effect of such structures and do they foster dissident attitudes? Could this risk, if it exists, be qualified and made into a scale or series of indicators? And finally, how can cultural identity building practices be maintained but made to be more inclusive? And here we've just got references for all of the sources that you've seen in today's presentation. Again, please feel free to pause and have a look at them. Okay, and that brings me to the end of today's presentation. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it's given you some food for thought. Again, if you haven't already, please make sure to have a look at the Visualizing Peace Library. It's a fantastic resource. Lots of people have contributed to it from a variety of different disciplines, and you've got some really amazing material in there from plenty of different backgrounds, all relating back to peace studies. So that's going to be it from me today. Thanks again for watching, and I hope that you have a lovely rest of day.